hello, everyone. Super excited for you all to be here and be joining us tonight to speak all about EF Gap Year, our programs, and more specifically, dial it into the support on program for all of our students. We're going to be joined by a student life coordinator named Evan and an alumni later this evening. But before we kind of get into that, I want to just give you all basic context and an introduction into who I am, but then also, what our programs look like. So to introduce myself, my name is John, and I am a gap year consultant here at EF Gap Year. But more importantly, I'm also an EF Gap Year alum myself. I did my a fall semester gap a couple years back now. So really excited for you all to be here and speak a little bit more about my own experience, but also our more recent alumni and their relationship with Evan as well. So again, we're going to be talking all about the specific support on how EF Gap Year constructs our programs, and going to be diving a little bit deeper into the actual on-program experience. And then going to begin with a little bit of a basic introduction, some context, running through the different programs that we offer, and then we'll dive into that Q&A portion towards the end. So just want to begin with an introduction of EF. EF stands for Education First, which is the first question that everyone always asks. And if you haven't heard of us before, EF is the world leader in educational travel. Maybe you've heard of us because you might have done, one of those 8th grade field trips to DC. More than likely, that was probably EF, or you might have done a spring break trip with your high school, maybe through our EF educational tours, or maybe you have heard of us through EF Ultimate Break or EF Go Ahead. Just saying that because there are lots of ways you could have encountered us, and we've been doing this for about 60 years now, and in that time, sending millions of people all across the world. Just want to highlight a little bit of our own statistics here. We have over 52,000 team members located in 600 schools and offices in 114 countries all across the world. So EF is actually this massive, sprawling global organization comprised of 17 specific different divisions, including EF Gap Year, what we're all here for tonight. And when it comes to EF Gap Year, despite us having all these different types of programs and constructions, I want to talk a little bit more about the type of student that gravitates to our GAP programs. So for most of you, this could be students who are in need of a bit of a pause after what is probably a pretty interesting past 4 years of a high school experience. Or these could be students who are coming to us after their freshman, sophomore, junior year of college, looking to maybe change majors, change schools, or give themselves more time to reflect on what they want to accelerate into. Or it could be students who meet us after they graduate college and before they either enter grad school or before they enter the workforce as well. In short, these programs are really meant to meet students where they're at, and our gap year consultants like myself are here to kind of plug in and navigate what the best fit program is for your student. Jumped ahead there. In terms of the actual program design, they are meant to meet students through immersing themselves in various different cultures where they're forging new experiences, discovering more about themselves and more about the world, really being prepared to thrive in today's ever-changing world. And that is really at the heart of how we construct these programs. So now I'll get into a bit of the program options itself. We have a couple of different varieties here. We have the semester programs, and we also have the full EF Gap Year program. And I'll get into more specifics on each one of those as we run into the slides here. But just want you to keep in mind that regardless of which EF Gap program you enroll on or are looking into, the same kind of skeletal structure applies. Here are all the pieces that are included in terms of the flights, transportation, the activities, excursions, accommodations, a good portion of the meals, along with the 24/7 EF global support, along with mentorship piece as well. So from this moment right now, all the way through to when you're actually out on the road, you're going to be having a whole team of amazing people around you at all times. So, of course, the conversation begins at experiences like these and in these webinars where you're here to learn a little bit more through our gap year consultants. There are also, if you haven't heard from us already, we are the ones who have been emailing and texting and calling you to learn a little bit more about these programs. We are here to really be pieces of support to kind of find that right fit program for you, understanding a little bit more about your own background, situation, your goals and motivations, and how that aligns with the programs that we offer. Up until that point, you also have a whole wide range of pre-departure pieces of support and webinars for you to kind of meet the cohort that you're traveling with and the extended EF Gap Year family. Then when you're actually out on the road, you of course have the cohort that you travel with. This is around 20 to 25 students who are within your group, and these are your people. And as you travel the world together, you'll be creating those bonds and friendships and memories that live long after the program itself ends. We actually have a cool reunion coming up in a couple weeks, and I know alumni speak with them all the time. They also are always looking to reconnect with students on their program. Now, in terms of the layers of on the program support, it also includes first the tour directors. The tour directors are the experts of all things logistics while on the road. So these tour directors have years of experience guiding these student tours and are local to the areas that they lead these groups in and are knowledgeable about all the destinations students visit. And then, of course, they also have your EF Gap Year program advisors, and these are the constant through line, almost the common thread that binds the student experience, offering that virtual support during that pre-departure phase and also during program as well. And then after that, we also have our student life coordinators, and we're here with Evan, who's going to be in just a bit. We'll be chatting about what that experience looked like, and they are available to facilitate those healthy cohort dynamics throughout the group and also offer that individual support. And like I said, we'll be doing a Q&A with Evan and the alumni to get a little bit deeper sense on what that relationship looks like. But they are available for our students during the entire duration of the program to support that group dynamic, providing that individual socio-emotional support while on the ground. Also, while on the full gap year, students who opt to study at one of the international language campuses, and we'll get into that in just a bit here, they'll have access to full-time school staff who support every aspect of their time on location, whether that's through the academics, accommodations, transportation, emergency purposes, and also daily optional activities as well. These people all always act as mentors and help to troubleshoot any concerns between the students. So I want to also talk about an additional layer of support and safety that we have on program. We also offer a telehealth resource that can really come in handy during our students' travels. It's a full service virtual healthcare provider, which acts to better support students while they're out on the road. It allows them to have 24/7 access to mental and physical healthcare throughout their time on the road. So lots of layers of support here. You can communicate with any EF Gap Year alum about any of these people, and you're bound to just get endless, amazing stories about how incredible all these people really are. So I want to also share a couple snapshots of our wonderful tour directors that I mentioned before. Again, they're usually based in the country that you're actually visiting or otherwise work there regularly. So they are the experts in that local experience. They're there to help you get the most out of your experience and provide that expertise and insider perspective that just makes for such an unforgettable trip. And here's Evan, who we'll meet in a bit, and him alongside his Voyager cohort as well. And when it comes to actually knowing a little bit more about the individual semester programs we offer, we first have 10-week programs that are built around the academic semester with departures in September and in February. And again, these are great fits for students who might be deferring a semester or a year of college, or maybe graduating early, or who just want to take a break before, during, or after their college experience. So here are 3 semester programs that I'll touch on very loosely here. We also have a much more in-depth info session happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern for anyone who wants to get a little bit deeper dive into any of these programs. And again, our gap year consultants are available to do more of a one-on-one process with you, trying to find the right fit program. But all of the semester programs are built around that guided exploration and cultural immersion format. For example, with the Changemaker program in the top left, it's all about adventuring your way through the diverse ecosystems of Latin America, really working with the local communities to learn and put some meaningful service out in the world, and that sustainability in action. The Pathfinder is a program that really pulls together themes around environmental science, history, business, culture, while also visiting around a half dozen destinations all across Europe. The Voyager is maybe a combination of both of them, where you allow yourself to embrace your more adventurous side as you're exploring kind of the natural wonders of Australia, Thailand, and Japan, but also immersing yourself in the storied cultures and traditions there as well. And we'll get to understand a big piece of the Voyager program with Evan and Kailyn later this evening. We also have really unique first semester abroad programs as well that look a little bit more like a traditional study abroad experience, while also having the EF gap semester flair as well. And for these particular programs, we partner with some of the world's top colleges and universities to facilitate some culturally immersive international educational experiences that help to bring the learning to life a bit more than what you would just read within a textbook. So I say this because we have two really cool programs that we offer. One is the Mosaic of Spain program. The other one is the Global Challenge Semester program. We have partnered with colleges to construct a curriculum that matches the history and traditions and cultures of the places that we're going to be traveling to, really meant to bring that learning to life. These are all transferable college credits that you can take home with these programs as well. And lastly, I want to talk about the full gap year program, which is a 23-week gap year program. It mimics an academic year with the fall semester, a winter break in the middle, and then your spring semester program. So this is kind of the outline of the itinerary. This is a view of the first semester. So it actually starts off 6 weeks across Europe in 6 different countries, 1 country a week. Then it moves across to Australia, where you spend 3 weeks doing a lot of culturally immersive activities, and then another 3 weeks immediately after the Australia piece in Thailand as well. So a really dynamic, immersive first semester of the full gap year. Right after the first semester, we send the students back home where they get to reconnect with mom and dad and friends and family, share photos. And then semester 2 is built in order to take what the students have learned in semester 1 and really apply it to the location of their choosing for semester 2. So as you can see here, we have a couple different offerings in terms of what students can do. That can either choose to do an international internship based out of Stockholm, or they can choose to do an immersive language learning semester, which is actually what I did, and any one of the cities that we have available here. And again, any one of these pieces and programs here, the gap year consultants are here to be resources to get a little bit more nuanced into the conversation, a bit more granular into the exact right fit program for you. And ultimately, no matter what program or configuration you choose, these are programs really built to act as an accelerant or a gateway to future success, whatever your next step might be. So this is a breakdown of just how general finances shape out here. Again, we won't go into depth on pricing and planning tonight, but we'll switch over the conversation with Evan and Kailyn. So with that said, Evan, Kailyn, would love for you to both come off camera, off mute here. I'd love to begin a conversation with both of you. Evan, maybe we can start with you to give a quick introduction into who you are, maybe where you're from, and kind of what brought you to where you're at right now.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Sean. Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Kaiser, and I was previously a student life coordinator, but now through all these great adventures, I've actually stepped into a gap year advisor role for some of our programs. And so just given my background, I'm from Ohio, have grown up in the Midwest, always had the itch to get out, explore the world, see what's out there. And so through studying abroad, through some work experience abroad, I was able to kind of get that and just kind of realize this is something that I've really found my footing in. This is something that I think everyone should experience. And so finding the student life coordinator position allowed me to pair my interests of being abroad with helping others explore the world, helping others see what is truly out there. And so being able to go on a couple of our different programs with students and just help facilitate those conversations, facilitate those growth moments have really been a highlight of my professional career. And so I'm super, super excited to see Kailyn here tonight because she's just one of those some great examples of what can truly happen when you get outside your comfort zone, when you go and explore the world and just have those wonderful results. So nice to meet you all.
Beautiful, Evan. Really appreciate that context here. And also for everyone who is in the audience here tonight, definitely feel free to utilize the chat as a way to kind of ask Evan and Kailyn direct questions that you want to expand on. On that note, Kailyn, would you mind coming off mute and kind of giving a little bit of a introduction into who you are, your name, where you're from, and the program that you did?
Yeah, hi, I'm Kaylin. I'm from Denver, Colorado. I was on the Voyager program. Um, I was previously very on the fence about getting out of my hometown, and I was very nervous about it at first. It took me a while to decide if I was going or not, but it was one of the best experiences that I could have been a part of. And having Evan as our student life coordinator was absolutely amazing. He was like the fun uncle or like the fun older brother to have on the trip. It wasn't necessarily like he was like the boss of us, but he was our friend and he was there with us. And I feel very grateful to be here and to have Evan here and have a little reunion. But yeah.
Appreciate that, Kaylin. And we're definitely going to be diving into so many pieces of what you both kind of alluded to here. Also going to take us off of screen here so we all can just look at each other and kind of speak a little bit more directly. So in terms of how I want to go about this conversation, I think it's helpful if we kind of rewind time a bit. And Kaylin, if you want to take yourself back to pre-Gap, pre-Voyager, Kaylin, can you tell me a little bit as to what kind of drew you to this GAP program? Like what helped you? What was the conversation like with your friends and family about making the decision to go on this program?
So before I had even had the idea, or I didn't actually have the idea of a GAP program, I was coming into my last few months of high school, and my plan originally was to just work full time and move out. And those were all good plans, but my mom was not pleased about me going to like not going to college. But she knew that I wasn't ready at the time. Like high school had been rough for me. COVID happened during my sophomore year and kind of trickled out through my junior and senior year. But like I was very on the fence about it when she brought it to my attention that she had found this great program and that we would be traveling, experiencing all these things. Because I had had this like set plan in my head of what I wanted my year and my fall to look like. It was actually someone here in my town who told me that they didn't want me to go and that I shouldn't go. And that just kind of like clicked something in my head, where I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is such an incredible experience that I might be missing out on. So I sat down and talked with my mom about it, just like if it was still even on the table, because it was probably like a week or two before registration ended for the trip. And I was like, we got to just jump into it, because me and a friend who actually met on my Voyager trip, I just got to see her 2 weeks ago. She made a good point that like, if you go on this trip, you're never going to regret it. But if you don't go, you're going to regret it. So I just had to jump in head first, dive right in.
I think that speaks a lot about like the kind of mindset that I think most students that I personally work with, and Evan, I'm sure that you have spoken with as well, are feeling. I think it's definitely okay, and I remember myself when I was on these sorts of Zooms and webinars with my own parents, that there are a lot of emotions that can be out there that I think which is completely normal. I think to make it with any big decision in life to feel nervous or overwhelmed or any pieces there. Evan, anything you would add to that kind of what you've seen with students you've worked with kind of in that beginning phase, that kind of pre-departure phase and where their emotions and attitudes were at?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people come into this just kind of needing a pause. They need a break from reality. They need to just shake up the status quo, if you will, and just kind of find a new groove, find something that piques their interest, find something that like they're trying to take with them in their next opportunity, in their next stage in life. And so when I'm talking with students, I think just a lot of people are looking for something different. They want to focus on working on themselves first, right? I think a lot of our GAP programs do a good job at like helping people learn holistic things, right? Just how to be a functioning adult in the world, how to just have conversations, how to work through struggles, and then just overcome adversity. And so I think just a lot of those things come up with traveling in general, let alone when you're traveling in a cohort for 10 weeks to 16 weeks at a time with a group. And so just being able to see people change their attitudes, change their mindsets, and just overcome some of those issues that they're facing, like, is just so rewarding to see, not only from behind the screen, but also in person on program with them. And so I think students just walk away from the program with a better sense of self. They might not have all the answers to everything, but they do find the answers of things that are most pressing for them, and they can take tangible things away from each program into their next chapter of their life.
And I think that also brings on a good point in terms of what's important in that pre-departure phase, like getting to understand a little bit more about your goals and motivations and what you want to see out of your gap semester, gap year. And as we know, it could look, vastly different. I mean, the reasons I took my own gap were probably very different from yours, Kailyn. But again, the same, decision making led us in a very similar direction as well. So I think that's a pretty unique, aspect of, just the alumni experience and also this actual gap experience as well. Evan, just sticking with you for one additional question. Is there anything you'd say stands out about, maybe the parent perspective in particular on any kind of conversations of how you navigated with, parent, I know there's a lot of parents here with their emotions and dealing with that during that beginning pre-departure phase as well?
Oh, absolutely. I know personally from experience, like me going to college away from my hometown, an hour away, was a big deal for my parent, let alone sending one of your kids or students across the world to a new country where they don't know what is next. I think there are a lot of valid like feelings, a lot of valid conversations being had. But I think something that I really like to highlight with parents is just the level of support here at EF is kind of unmatched with competitors, kind of just like the global presence of EF, I think is something that we really tap into, as well as those levels of support systems that you're talking about earlier, John. I think there's just so many pieces to the puzzle and so many people that are rooting on your student that I think parents, once they start to see it in action, once they start to have those conversations with us onboarding, and once their student starts to get on program, starts making their friends, starts getting in the groove of things, I think that's when parents kind of see that aha moment of like, okay, I see the wheels turning, I see what it's doing for my student. And so I think, like I said, the feelings are completely valid, right? Sending your student away for the first time is tough, but just know that we have their backs all the way from when they have the idea of going on a gap year, all the way till they have completed the program and they're raving about it, almost maybe too much to you and the family, when they get back home, sharing all those pictures with you and sharing their excitement. So.
For sure. I think that's a great point. Kailyn, I kind of want to, in terms of that chronological, timeline we've been talking about, that pre-departure phase, you thinking about this, understanding if it's the right fit for you. Let's maybe move a little bit forward in time in terms of, the beginning days of the actual on-program experience. I guess specifically, what were you feeling? Like, in the first couple of days when you arrived on program, what kind of emotions were you dealing with?
The first few days of programming, I was definitely a little bit nervous, because it was, an entire group of people that I did not know. Um, so I kind of walked in just feeling anxious of like, oh, are these people gonna like me? Are we gonna be friends? Or am I gonna be with people that like we don't like each other for almost 3 months, That was like my biggest thing. Um, and like just getting to meet everybody was a lot. It was a little bit overwhelming the first few days. Like you land and then immediately it's like you get into your hotel room. It's like the big welcome meeting once everyone's there, like activities for a few hours and then dinner. And like I think by that first morning, all of us were already like, okay, we're on the ground running, we're doing it. But like pretty quickly after the first few days, like you kind of realize that like these people with me, like they picked the program for the exact same reasons that I did, or very similar, and like everyone just kind of clicks like immediately. And it is scary to meet new people and like be in this new space where like this is not like home. I have to learn about all of these new things very quickly. Um, but like being able to have like the support of all the people that you're meeting, like they're all on the same page as you, like they're all overwhelmed too, they're all feeling anxious too, and then we get like Evan's support on the trip or like our advisors. And if I remember right, like our, I don't remember what her role was, but Elizabeth was there for like the first like 2 or 3 days and wanted to make sure that we were all just doing okay and settling in all right. And that was just like the support was there, and it felt very nice to know that like everyone was there with us. We're all feeling the same, and even if we weren't feeling very good the first few days, like we had the support to like talk our way through it or just have a moment to like breathe if we needed it.
I think that's, like a massive, piece of context that you shared as well, especially in terms of, everyone else is also going through the exact same emotions that you were going through, because no
Yeah.
one came knowing each other, their entire life. It wasn't like these big cliques of groups that do these. Everyone's kind of starting at equal level playing ground, which I think personally made the experience that much easier, just knowing that everyone's, open to making friends and looking to put themselves out there in that uncomfortable way that no one really wants to do, almost like that first day at school lunch, or first day at school, first day at work, where you don't know where you want to sit in the lunch table.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm projecting my own insecurities, but that's not a fun emotion that everyone kind of, wants to repeat every single day. And so after, the first day, when you kind of get those jitters out and get to meet people, I think, again, personally, that experience, sorts this stuff out so easily. Ivan, anything you would add in terms of maybe like a high level overview of how you have seen like groups, or, just trends or themes with your students in the very beginning, and kind of the different varying emotions that they could have as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think Kaylin hit the nail on the head with that, right? Like, although this is a collective experience, like you might be going through your own individual emotions, right? This might be your first time away from home. You might be missing your friend. You might be missing your family. And so there's definitely a level of, I call it the honeymoon phase, if you will, of like a lot of people might be going through like, oh, I'm abroad. This is great. This is fantastic. And then wait a couple days, a couple weeks, and then reality hits them in the face like, oh, I'm not in the comfort of my support system. I'm not in the comfort of being able to drive down the street and get a Dunkin' Donut. You know what I mean? And so being able to just kind of acknowledge the suck, if you will, when like things aren't going as planned, I think is something that we see a lot of students and like something that I in my support role have to just do sometimes is acknowledge the suck, right? The feelings that you're going through are completely valid. It is a roller coaster of emotions throughout the entire program, but the fact that there is some nice solace knowing that other people are in the same thing as you going through similar experiences, I think that just allows you to be open about what you're going through because other people are going to be doing that. And so finding a support system within each other, but also just leaning into the support systems that we do have in place for those specific reasons. And so just some tangible things I can think of is like when students arrive in country, like we have these orientation sessions where we get to know each other, where we get to set up goals for ourselves for completing the program and just making sure that we are holding each other accountable and having conversations on how we as a group want to collectively act and what we hope to accomplish during our time together on program. And so I think that opens up a conversation for people to voice those concerns, voice those emotions and kind of nip things in the bud, if you will, and be proactive about how they want to spend their time together and what they're hoping to get out of the experience together.
I love the way you kind of worded that all, in terms of kind of the layers of support that are around you and what you want to lean into, and what emotions are, good and healthy, and how to lean into that, and especially on such a novel experience like doing an international gap semester or gap year as well. Kaylin, something that I want us to dive a little bit deeper in, obviously a big part of this experience, lies between the lines of the actual day-to-day itinerary, which I think is obviously there's so many highlights I want you to speak about in a second here. But I think a big piece of it is also the actual cohort, your group of people that you travel with. Curious, like what was it like meeting them, and what were the relationships like with them, and kind of how did that develop for you?
For the first few like maybe like days to weeks, like there are people that you'll click with and there's people that you won't, but like for my group, I can say full-heartedly that I loved them all. Um, because like as time goes on, like you get to find like commonalities between each other, like you get to build all these friendships. And one of the big things on the trip is that like you really don't get like any alone time. Like you get alone time if you need it, like um but like you're with everybody all the time, so it gives you an opportunity to get to know them on a much deeper level. And there are like highs and lows, because there are some people who like they love being social, they love it all the time, every day, 24/7. And then there are other people like myself who like I might need a second, like maybe a day or like a few hours, just to like kind of decompress and have my own moment. But I think the biggest thing that all of us were kind of on the same page about was being okay with the boundaries, like being able to communicate with each other was a very big, important thing on our trip. Because if we weren't communicating with each other on what we needed or what we were asking for, that's kind of when a little bit of tension would arise. But like most of the time, all of us were very open to just like sitting down and having a conversation and being able to talk about like, I need this, is that okay? Or like finding a compromise and being able to just like enjoy each other's presence while being in these beautiful countries. um because like we got to be there together, and I do love them all, I miss them all very much. But like there are definitely bonds that like they got super strong by the end of it, and then there are others where like I love them so much, but like do we talk every day? No, but I'm thinking about them. um but like the cohort was like one of the best pieces. I think if I had been with other people, like I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much, like I loved my group. They were all amazing, and it's nice knowing that we were all there again for like the same reasons or something similar.
I think that's so powerful, especially in terms of the dynamic within a cohort. And I think, thinking about my own experience and, kind of how I manage my own emotions, hearing you speak about that as well, just also reminds me about that self-advocacy that I think is super important. That is one of those maybe transformative, experiences that are, ever evolving on the program, from start to finish. And I know this is, your program is within the lens of the Voyager specific program, obviously, but I think there are themes and things you can pull out because every program is a bit different. But that is important and holds true for each program. That obviously is exciting and a really good piece of the program as well. Now, in terms of maybe the actual itinerary and the things you're doing that are within the scope of the Voyager program, all these different countries, just I think it'd be cool to share some of your favorite highlights or your favorite stories when you were actually on this program too.
Oh my goodness, I love talking about the trip so much. I've got to like pick out my favorite pieces, but there was a hot air balloon ride that we had to wake up at like, I think it was like 3 a.m. to go drive a few hours to like kind of the middle of this like farmland in Cairns, Australia. And we went and we found this like little coffee cart that was open, and we got to be there while the hot air balloons were blowing up, and we got to like get on the balloons and watch the sunrise from hot air balloons, which was just incredible. Like just being able to be over the outback, like you could see kangaroos and like you get to look at all like the farmland that's out there. um that was amazing. And then like the Great Barrier Reef was really cool. um the boat ride was really rough, but like we persevered together, and like we kind of had that shared moment, like kind of what Evan said, like we all embraced that it sucked, and then we got there and we're like, we're here now, it was worth it. In Thailand, the temples were incredible. It was so cool to be able to walk through and experience that part of their culture, and like the beaches were beautiful. Being able to go to the different islands and being able to work with elephants in Thailand was amazing. Oh, in New Zealand, when we got to go have the Samoan feast, I think that was like the first like huge, like big meal we had gotten to have in like a bit. We were tired, we were hungry, and we sit down and it's like Thanksgiving, like there's turkey and mashed potatoes and stuffing and like good nice drinks, and it was just like we all kind of sat down, and by the end of it we're all just like sitting back like, oh, like I still think about that meal all the time. And like what else? Oh my goodness, there's so many things. It's hard to pick like key moments or like favorite moments because I feel like every other day we were getting to see something else incredible that was just like it just sticks in my brain. Like the elephants were amazing. One of my very favorite parts of our trip was when we were in Thailand in Krabi, and we got to be a part of Nature Minded, which was like our like the organization that they do like a lot of stuff with the ecosystem and just teaching us about like how to conserve the ecosystem, how to be mindful of what your footprint is around the world, you know. But at that point in the trip, we would all were just like a little tired, a little worn down, like um there was a little bit of tension in the group, and like Nature Minded just like pulled us all together. And that moment in the trip, like I in the whole trip I'd never felt us be like so close and so just like together in all of it. We were working together, we were talking to each other, like all of it was just so beautiful. And one of my favorite moments in Nature Minded was me and two of the other girls on my trip stayed at the compound when everyone else had gone over to the hotels to just like shower. Um, and for like probably 2 or 3 hours, we just sat and like we talked to each other. We played cards. We helped make everybody dinner for that night. We got to like mess around with the slack line that they had, and we were just practicing, and it was so much fun. Um, and Japan was just like full of incredible experiences, like getting to be in Shibuya and getting to watch like the crossing and everything, and being able to be in Tokyo for Halloween was very fun. Um, and like the castles there are beautiful, and we got to see Mount Fuji when like a it's like a small chance that you actually get to see it, just depending on the weather and everything. But like I could keep going forever. There are just so many moments that just have stuck with me this whole time.
Which I think is, relevant, especially for this specific experience too. And I think and how the Voyager it's constructed to give you those pieces of that authentic cultural immersion, matched with different meaningful impacts on service and sustainability, and kind of putting that together and letting that see where that go hand in hand. I know, for anyone who's wondering, I spent my time in Rome. We didn't have, we weren't able to see any cool elephants or any hot air balloon rides with some kangaroos flying by. But, again, still, in terms of the goals you set out in terms of, language immersion, for an instance, and having those, like tangible things that you want to get out of your program. Again, we had some cool like cooking classes and scavenger hunts around the city and really cool experiences. Again, reflective of each city and culture and country that we travel to. I think that's really what, EF does so well and is what's so, powerful, especially, on a program like this. With all that in mind, Evan, another thing I'm curious about in terms of, in your role within this Voyager program, and knowing really intimately all of the students as well, what was it like in terms of your relationship with them in the very beginning? Like what was it like first meeting them, and then maybe how that like progressed going on as well?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think at the beginning, I think it was just a lot of people working through those nerves, right? They're like, who is this person that is coming with us on this program? And so I know I was going full like orientation leader mode, if you will, just making sure everyone just kind of knew who I was, see my face, have a conversation, make sure that they are feeling good, ready to go, help answering questions. And I think just as the program goes on, it like at the very beginning, we just scratch some surface level, right? We start getting to know each other. We start getting to know why we're here, what we're hoping to get out of the program, and how I, as someone on the ground supporting them, can best support them to achieve their goals. But as time goes on, I think it's really cool to start seeing those goals start coming to life a little bit. They're starting to break outside their comfort zones. They're trying new foods. They're conquering heights. You know what I mean? And so to just kind of get to know each individual student, but also as a collective, right? There is this like collective vibe that's going on. So to just see everyone working together, communicating, and just hyping each other up and being everyone's best advocate, I think was just super, I don't know, super inspiring as a support staff, because that's what we hope to emulate. That's what we hope to just kind of see happen naturally on program. And so students start opening up to each other, they start helping each other, they start advocating. And so I think, yeah, 10 weeks together is a long time, but in the scheme of things, Kaylin, I don't know about you, but it seems like a short little time right now that we're back in the US. But you really do become this tight-knit family. You start telling secrets, you start at like I said, you start, I don't know, just being your authentic self, challenging your preconceived notions, and just breaking outside your comfort zone and just really embracing whatever program that you're on and with your goals.
And something that I think would be really cool to lean into as well is, I think that's like a also in terms of the big cohort dynamic, seeing like those big trends. Anything specifically, maybe this is your time to shout out and do a humble brag towards Kaylin specifically, that you notice within her kind of growth and development program as well.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Kaylin had so much growth on this program. The one thing, well, multiple things I respect about Kaylin, but she was always the first one to raise her hand to do something on program. So whether that was getting in the mud with the mangroves in Thailand, or whether that was volunteering at Nature Minded to be the first to go on certain projects, like she was always just fully embracing the moment and being in the moment. I think a lot of people, right, it's all part of that growth factor. And so I think Kaylin just kind of kicked it in the teeth when it came to embracing those challenges and just really getting into it. And so that was awesome to witness. And then just see her encouraging others on the program to start breaking outside their comfort zones, being their biggest cheerleader as well. So I think that was amazing. So
Thank you,
I love
Evan.
I love that. I'm probably gonna watch that and repeat a couple times tonight. Um, Kaylin, what would you say, like in response to that, in terms of like hearing that growth? I mean, obviously you were, directly in it. How did you feel that growth? I mean, all the pieces that Evan said, and maybe in with Evan's support, and then also independently as well.
Um, the support of the group was definitely like one of my main factors into where I was going. Um, in all honesty, like at home, I maybe had like one good friend I could lean on. So I was kind of jumping into this trip with the notion of like making these new friends and then just getting completely out of my comfort zone and being able to experience the world while I'm in it. Um, and it was definitely kind of scary because I was kind of just jumping in, being like, well, we're here, we're gonna do it. Like, it's like that thing again, like if I don't do it, I'll regret it. And if I do, then I did it, and there's nothing to regret. But like my growth mindset on the trip, like there were a lot of just like my own mental hurdles that I was trying to get over, and trying to work through. And being surrounded by such an amazing and supportive group of people really helped. And I like see the effects of it now that I am home. Um, just like being able to communicate more clearly, or just like being able to find more of just like the small positive things in my day. Um, like I feel like there were a lot of things pre-trip that like I was definitely working on or was having a hard time with, and after the trip just being able to like experience it all and having an opportunity to like reflect on myself and what I was doing, and how I was impacting those around me, and just how I was impacting the world at large. Um, being able to actually come home and then apply all of it has been really cool, honestly. It's just been like such a big change, but like such a positive one.
For sure. And I think maybe on that topic, I would love to kind of hear from you, kind of like some closing statements in terms of, obviously there is, a wide range of people who are here tonight. What would you say, are there any like tips or advice, or people who are, in this, decision-making phase? Should I do a gap year? Should I not? how do I feel? What kind of tips or advice would you maybe impart to them?
Um, I think my biggest tip is if you don't feel ready for something, don't feel like you have to force yourself to do it. Um, I definitely wasn't ready for college, and I still, at this moment, don't think that I am. I'm trying to take things slowly and take them as they come, you know? And I feel like this gap trip is like whichever one that is chosen, you know, for the friends on the call, um, like if it's something that feels right to you, like jump into it, you know? Um, and like I feel like one of my biggest worries before I went on my trip was like, oh, I'm putting my life at home on pause, you know? But really, if you don't have like a solid plan at the moment, like what's the harm, you know? You can jump into this, and like I've said a few times already, like you won't regret being able to travel the world and make new friends. And this, like the trip just gives you so many more like connections out there. It can show you what you might really like and what you might really dislike and what you want to expand your world to be, you know? um like your life at home will still be there when you get back. It's not like you're leaving forever. um Especially for like the 3 month trip, you get to go out and experience the world, and then you still get to come home and everything is still here, everything is still where you left it, and you get to pick it back up and reevaluate and figure out where you're going. But like don't be afraid to just like jump into things. Don't be afraid to be brave and have courage and make a decision for you, you know? Like you don't always have to be worrying about what everyone else expects from you. It's your life, and you get to make it what you want it to be.
That was very poetic, Kaylin. I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I think that can resonate with a lot of students here, for wherever they're at, kind of, for where they're looking for a gap. And maybe Evan, maybe we can close it for you. I know, maybe we can give back 10 minutes for everyone who is spending their Wednesday evening with us. But I really want to hear from you. Is oftentimes this is students' first time traveling independently, and also parents can be pretty nervous as well. What would you say to all the families here tonight? Any tips or advice for those thinking about this gap program?
Yeah, no. Embrace the awkward, embrace the challenges that are ahead for you, because I think if anything that the world has taught us the past few years, it's that we need to recenter ourselves and we need to focus on our own healing. We need to focus on our own growth and journeys. And so doing what is best for you and something that resonates with you and that brings you peace, I think is something that a lot of students find on this program, right? Whether it is making new friends, whether it's trying to find a potential career path to go down, or whether it's just really expanding the worldview, and connecting with people from all around the world. I think there's just a lot of growth and a lot of maturing that we see from students on programs like this that is just so instrumental in that building block into wherever they're going next after our programs. As Kaylin was alluding to, like some people might not be ready to go fully into the workforce or go straight to college, right? I think being able to embrace and being able to acknowledge that like this is something that like I want to work on is just building myself up, setting myself up for success, and giving myself some time and grace. I think a lot of our gap year programs do a great job at allowing students to explore those curiosities, learn about themselves. And so it's very, I don't know, I can talk all day about it, but I think it's truly instrumental in people like realizing their full potential and realizing who they are as a functioning human being in today's society.
Beautifully said, Evan. And I think all of those pieces, that those keys are definitely tremendously helpful for students and families. Helpful for me when I was in that spot as well. And on that note, again, for everyone who's here tonight, if you want to have also one-on-one conversation with alumni, with advisors, or our team as well, we are here to kind of facilitate that, again, to really meet students where they're at in terms of discerning what is the best option for them. So with that note, I will conclude tonight's event. For everyone here who wants to learn a little bit more about the specific program, we spoke a lot about the Voyager, wide range of other programs here, definitely connect with your gap year consultant. They'll be able to give you a more nuanced understanding, more comprehensive than what's currently on the website about these specific programs and what feels right as well. So if you haven't heard from us, you'll be hearing from us, right after this event. But with that said, Evan, Kailyn, thank you so much. So great to speak to both of you, and wish everyone a great rest of your night.